Okay, we are live here at the CoolAutomation Masters event, talking with some of the best in the industry about remote monitoring, what CoolAutomation has to offer, but more specifically about the things we're passionate about here at the VRF Tech Talk podcast, and that is all things VRF. So, Donald, you want to go ahead and introduce our guests here?
Well, I'm Donald, and we have Joel and Corey from
VRF Services.
DXS and VRF Services down in Texas. So, tell me a little about yourself.
So Joel Hill, I'm one of the managing partner for DXS in the Houston area. I started in the industry in 2002. Started working for at the time, the McQuay rep back in 2003. And then when Daikin purchased McQuay and we started to see the VRV product come into Texas, our organization split off a dedicated VRF group, and that became DXS. So as I say, my transition to DXS was somebody gave me a box of business cards that had a different logo on it. And at the time, I was DXS Houston. Started doing presentations explaining what the V, the R, and the V stand for, and nobody had ever heard of that before. And now we've grown to one of the largest VRF reps in the country, covering all the major cities in Texas, so Dallas, Fort Worth, Austin, San Antonio, Houston. Sales service through our sister company, VRFS, doing $40+ million a year of VRV equipment.
Yeah.
Great.
Corey, what about yourself, man?
I'm Corey Bush. My background in air conditioning is my dad had a plumbing and heating company. So I've been doing plumbing and a lot of HVAC since probably middle school, would be safe to say, when Dad made me hold his flashlight and yell at me for not doing it right. I did that in a small market probably early 2000. I got out of it. I went into law enforcement. I did that for about 10, almost 12 years. And then when we moved to Texas in 2015, I'm like, I get back into air conditioning because it pays a little bit better. Yeah. And I did just straight commercial HVAC when I got here, and I got exposed to VRF, and I just instantly fell in love with it. Went to the company I worked for and I said, how I want to be the VRF guy in the company because we have a dozen or so customers and really nobody knows how to work on it. Yeah. And they said, cool. They sent me to LG classes. They sent me to Daikin's class in Austin, and then they never let me work on it. So I called DXS and I'm like, hey, you guys hiring? And at that time I was the third tech in Austin that they hired. Now we're up to 8 techs in Austin, 4 or 5 in Dallas, 4 or 5 in Houston. Recently, in the last 6 months, since more and more online stuff has come online, Daikin has their products, and then of course we're here with CoolMaster's products. I've kind of transitioned into the office where my main job is just to manage sites remotely best I can, troubleshooting, building out a maintenance program that we can use remotely too. So.
Yeah, no, it's good. And we've actually talked about that one-on-one before a few times now. And it's one of those things where information is everything. Right. And if you don't have it, it's kind of screwed. You don't know what to do. Right. And so everybody's leaning in towards AI, and we're over here on the VRF side, and we're like, we just want to see what's going on. We don't need it to diagnose it. I mean, it would be nice, right? It would be really nice if AI was baked in, but we've got a long way to go on that. And so with that, it's gathering that information, getting access to that information. And I think that's where a lot of these products shine through. And so, again, I've been impressed with the CoolAutomation product thus far. I think there's some things that it still needs to grow organically in our industry to meet the needs that we have within our markets, right? Because your market's probably different than our market in Florida. And same with, Norman S. right in California. And so I don't expect it to be a plug and play and meet everybody's needs at the same time. But I would love to hear from your guys' perspective, you guys using the product now. How long have you been using the CoolAutomation product now?
So AHR in Orlando was 2 years ago, year and a half ago.
Yeah.
So we were a really big user of a company called Turntide. Yep. And then when they sent the Dear John letter out to all the reps that they were just going to close all of a sudden and not support that.
Yeah.
We started looking for another solution.
Okay.
Talked to the CoolAutomation guys at AHR. Ended up being a blessing in disguise because they were way further along than the stuff we've been using. So we came over and said, hey, we want to start using this, and we're going to immediately bring a whole pile of business because we went and retrofitted everything that we'd previously done to what I believe is a better platform.
Yeah.
And so we started doing that about a year and a half ago, but went exponential just because of we'd been using the previous platform for 2 years-ish, I think.
Yeah. And it's hard to just stop cold turkey, right, and not have a solution to offer your clients.
Yeah, unless they give you a letter that says you have to stop using our product cold turkey and use something else.
Yeah.
So, did you have any problems beside the Turntide projects where it was kind of a shoe-in to fit in, here's your new remote monitoring service, projects that didn't have that? Are you coming across any pain points with engineers or end users, or say I don't really need this stuff, and how do you capitalize past that?
We have not probably done a great, and again, as a sales manager, probably have not done a great job about targeting the however many bazillion systems that we've sold over the last 15 years.
Yeah.
It's been mostly the stuff that was already in the cloud that we converted, and then moving to get more and more of our new equipment in the cloud. Again, we do so much volume just because we serve very big markets that it's been as fast as we can get our arms around the new equipment. But our service group is starting to go back and, hey, do they have VRV? And they've got VRV, trying to go in and approach the buildings that didn't have it to begin with.
Yeah, and service is a great angle on that, right? Would you say, what are the problems? I think one of the biggest problems is you're talking to a building manager or a maintenance guy and trying to get them to, first of all, understand what it is, because they don't even know what it is.
Yeah.
And then once you educate them on what it is, trying to show them the value of it.
Yeah.
Sure.
And it's a big learning curve because, we're the HVAC experts and it means nothing to them. So how do you bridge that gap with the customer to get them to spend the money to even do it?
Sure.
Another point on that is, unfortunately, I have sometimes joked that I think controls in HVAC is the voodoo black magic of the industry. We're not enough people, I think, really understand it.
Yeah.
And so therefore our clients that are not all day, every day air conditioning people, they understand it even less. And so it's hard to have, a technical value add type conversation with somebody that doesn't understand what you're talking about. And then when you ask for money to pay me to have all these wonderful things,
I'm good.
I don't know.
I'll pass.
It's got to be in next year's budget, or whatever it may be. So it's that's a struggle. The exception to that is where we've had clients that have had service issues, and they've got, whether it be legacy installation problems or for some reason they've already got a pain point.
Yeah.
And we come in because we, now using the information and the data that we get through the cloud interfaces is just ingrained in how we do a lot of our troubleshooting now, that it's a natural extension of the conversation. So, hey, here's all the things that we can do. Here's what we would normally do with a new installation. We'd be able to go back and we'd be able to show you, and we'd be able to track and find these other problems before they become problems. And those clients have been a lot more receptive. As we're fixing one problem, we'll add this, and that'll help us to avoid similar issues moving forward.
Yeah, no, and I would say the same thing. Obviously I'm newer to CoolAutomation, not obviously remote monitoring or maybe data analysis, but it's that struggle you're talking about where it's trying to show them the value in it. And a lot of times that is just running full-fledged into the fire of a problem job or a problem system, and leveraging this technology to ensure that you're not going to miss those blips that you need to find to fix it long-term. Someone who's had repeat failures or it's never-ending problems and complaints. And so, recording service check data is great, but again, if you're not there when it's at its worst, then you're still missing the problem at its core, and that's probably why it's gone so long being undiagnosed. mean, some that's maybe untrained experts, but outside of that, it's still being able to get all that information in a timely manner and go back through it as quickly as possible. And getting them that fix as quick as possible, I think just shows them the value too of like, hey, if we did this the old school way, you'd be paying me to record for 2 weeks, and then I'd come and I'd collect the laptop, and then we'd take another week to go through the data, and then I'd make you some graphs on Excel, right? And I'd present it to you.
Does that conversation ever come up on the service side to where like you're using this tool now as a chance to save that customer money with a truck roll? Did they see the value in that?
It is part of the pitch, right? It is part of the sell. I just don't think they understand it. Like if I'm working with another contractor to some way and I can explain to another contractor, so like we do it ourselves, right? So it's our maintenance contacts, it's our maintenance customers, and they call and say, hey, level 10's down. Okay, well, it starts with in the office, open up the remote access, look at the data, try to figure out what's wrong. And now our goal is to roll a technician prepared to fix it. I think if you're trying to sell it to a building that doesn't have it, that's a big hurdle. It's a great value. And I think the only way you're going to be able to really sell it is if you could show them numbers. When it comes to a maintenance contract, well, now you're really benefiting yourself, and you can really show the customer how much more you can do for them, saying, hey, when the systems go down, our first job is we're going to jump in with you on your remote system. We're going to look at it together, and then we'll go from there. And it's a great selling point when you're talking about remote access, when the nuisance calls, right? We all have an apartment building that's a customer, and it's always apartment 105. She always complains that she's not cold enough. And you can look at the system and say, well, it looks like her windows are open again. Or, she had it off all night. It was 85 degrees. And 5 minutes ago, she turned it on.
Yeah.
So. Yeah. And I've got so many examples of when I've not had to roll a truck.
Yeah.
That I can give people example after example until they finally say yes, that they want it. But a lot of that is I explain to even our service sales guys, like this is a value add for the customer because, good example, I was driving from Austin to Houston, and we've got a major high-rise, high-end multifamily building to where if their air conditioning goes down, they have to buy hotel rooms for tenants. So it's expensive. And I don't know what it is about Friday afternoons, but
it's voodoo.
Yeah. That's when the voodoo happens and things fail on Friday afternoons, right when your technicians are not going to want to go.
Yeah.
And you're hamstrung. But so I'm halfway between Houston and Austin, which is about a 2.5-hour drive. And the client calls, panicked, is like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? I'm going to need a service tech. And he gives me an error code. And I've been doing this long enough to kind of know error codes in my head. And he's like, it's the problem is in room XYZ.
Yep.
No, it's not. Give me like 2 seconds. I'll stop at the Starbucks. Let me get on the Wi-Fi. I'll tell you what's going on. Explain to him what it is, and it's something that he could change just by adjusting a setting on a thermostat.
Yeah.
Avoids the after-hours service call. Avoids an expensive call.
Yeah. And
my example there is, if we had gone out on a paid service call, we're going to have to charge them after-hours rate. The tech's going to have to go on a Friday afternoon. And he's going to be there for 15 minutes, and we're going to need to send them a multi-$100 invoice, and they're going to treat us like we're raping and pillaging. Versus, oh, thank goodness, okay, problem resolved, no big deal. But the reinforcement is they do keep calling us, and then when it is something that they do need a service call, we're going to be their natural first choice. And so that's the value of, yes, we can save them some money, but at the same time, it just goes so far to set us up as being the perceived expert and the best choice for when they do actually need stuff.
Sure. And that comes back to kind of a bigger issue in our industry, and that is, unfortunately, everyone you meet that has VRF equipment, they don't trust anybody. And it's because over time they've come to learn that no one knows what they're doing, or maybe they can't trust the value that they perceive or the interactions they have with those specific manufacturers, or even the manufacturer's rep or the mechanical contractor. And so when you get in and you're showing them, hey, I could have done this, but instead we did it this way. Because again, one, we know what we're doing, but two, we value this relationship. And I'm showing you here the added value by making sure that I don't have to charge you if I don't have to. Like I don't want to charge you if I don't have to. Right? We want to be the person who comes out when you can't figure it out and when your system breaks. But if we can keep from coming out for routine maintenance things, that benefits everybody, right? Especially the on-call guy.
And like I'm going to make an assumption here, but the building owner of that is probably a building owner of many other high rises in that same territory.
Absolutely.
And
I think they're probably the largest user of CoolAutomation in Texas because of all the work that we've done.
So it's twofold, right? You saved him $500 on a service call, but you've also now gained a customer that trusts you and is willing to pay you for other buildings, right?
Yeah. And another value, I mean, again, I come up from a sales perspective, but if you can take a maintenance guy and give him enough tools that he looks good to his bosses, because every time there's an alarm code, he can't ever seem to fix it. But, if you get him used to just making a few phone calls when he's new, he'll figure out how to do a few things. Yep. Next thing you know, he's able to resolve the condensate drains or the thises or the that's. He loves you. And again, just it really cements that relationship long term, because we want them to buy from us the first time. We want them to do service with us. We want them to buy from us the second time.
Yep. So recommend
the better we can support them across, start, middle, finish, the better it is for our company. Absolutely. And the growth of the brand and VRF in general.
You mentioned something there, getting the maintenance guys up to speed quicker on this equipment, right? Because in my experience, the guys that are sitting at the desk in the maintenance office, they'd rather pick up the phone call and call somebody to come fix it. But are you able to use the cloud automation, the CoolAutomation tools, or any cloud services as a training tool for not only the end users, but even like internal technicians if you're onboarding a new technician?
Yes, both. So we do owner training at the time we turn stuff over. But again, I mean, these guys are drinking from a fire hose.
Yeah.
Our owner training, the only thing they're going to retain is here's how you adjust a set point, or here's an error code. So, a few times a year, we will do what I call service light classes, specifically not for service techs that do this every day, but the maintenance guys. So they understand a little bit more of getting into some of the tools, what some of the numbers mean. Like, what does the superheat on the fan coil mean?
Sure.
And what's the range that is good and not good? So they can do basic diagnosis. And that's been very helpful, and it's also another way to either stay fresh with the relationship, or if we have service guys that we know somebody else is doing their work, we'll offer them training, bring them into our office, let them feel good that we actually know what we're talking about, especially when it comes to VRF. Yeah. Because I believe that we have the best service techs for VRF equipment in Texas. That's self-serving statement, but I wholeheartedly believe that that's true. And so there's no way that another company is going to be able to demonstrate that the same way.
Sure.
Well, so with all that, right, it's all sunshine and rainbows to switch over to a technology or a piece of equipment. What is something that you guys would say is a pain point, if any at all, with switching over to a new technology like this, right? Because I'm sure, and I've heard the stories, it's easy to integrate. I mean, we're in the classes now and we see how easy plug and play it is with a bunch of different brands and how many things it communicates with. But sometimes there's always that disconnection of, hey, here's how nice it looks. But then in reality, there's some learning curves there. Would you say?
Well, a lot of the learning curve sometimes isn't necessarily the technology; it's the people using it, right? And we've all seen that in VRF and VRV technology in general. Is you can give an average technician all the tools, but they just don't know what to do with it. And I think when you go into these remote access and these high technology platforms like CoolAutomation or Daikin's Hero or anything, I think sometimes it's so much information, it's so much data. A lot of people don't know what to do with it. And so, education on the equipment is awesome and education on the controls is awesome, but it's the practicality of tying it all together and, okay, like I know all this stuff. Now, what do I do with it? What does it mean? And like I really like the CoolAutomation platform in general. I think as a whole, it's really awesome. But it's written by IT people and it's designed by computer guys and it's not designed by HVAC guys.
Yeah.
And they've done a really good job of asking the people that use it for information. And I think they've learned a lot. One of the things I find humorous when I use it is their report generating. I think it's they produce some of the greatest reports that don't really mean anything to me as an HVAC tech. They really don't. I don't care what the idle time is of a fan coil. It's really cool information you can do. I don't know what to do with it.
Sure.
Bean counters.
Yeah.
Well, so it comes back to, and that's new technology, anything, right? You get this new information and you're all like, all of a sudden, I don't know what to do with this, but eventually you will figure out something to do with it to show proof of concept, the idea that we are saving energy, that the changes we made to the system or even the repair that we made compared to over last year, we were able to save you 10% energy savings or something like that. Because that's essentially what VRF is leveraged as a technology, is energy efficiency. And although that's great, and then it's an awesome sales brochure, and I believe in it myself, it still comes back to the fact that is anybody monitoring that? Is anybody tracking that?
Who's actually recording it?
Well,
Who's actually looking at it?
Well, what does that data actually look like? And even then, are you providing that value to the client? Because if there was a way to make that connection of recording the information to show the energy usage year over year, and then you come in and you make some changes and modifications based upon the use of space or how they change the use of space, and then you show them, hey, last year we used this much energy. This year we used less by 15%. That's again showing them the value, and it may not be a lot of money, but it also shows that you're actively doing something, that this is helping it. So
and as a general statement of our industry, we are so slow to adopt new technology and to make useful the tools that are already there, because the technology has existed to grab data for years and years and years, and we're talking about it like this is just a new thing. When other industries look at HVAC, like, y'all are just now doing this, but
late to the game.
But one of the limitations has been connecting the people that know what this stuff means and making the tools useful to the client. The way I describe using CoolAutomation to a lot of my customers is it's kind of like the check engine light in the car. I say that every single car I've ever owned, I've had to take to the shop to get something worked on. But if the only way I'd known that it was time for service is I got stranded on the highway somewhere, I would have hated every single car I've ever purchased. But the little light comes on, and I'm not a car guy, so like, okay, I guess I got to take this to somebody that knows what they're doing. But my car told me that it needed service, and that's what we're trying to create with the control system is the ability for you to get assistance. And then as we go deeper and deeper and get more and more tools built, it will hopefully find problems ahead of time. We create these anomalies, and that's one of the places where I've kind of leaned on Corey is, I'm selling all this stuff, but I need you guys to keep developing the tools, help it become more and more useful for the clients, because at the end of the day, they don't care about the data.
Yeah, correct.
They need a report to automatically generate, or hey, tap them on the shoulder and tell them that there's something that they need to do. And so right now we do a lot of that, but we kind of do it manually. We have somebody like him or somebody like me that's sitting there staring at data and tracking things over time. And in order to really go at an appropriate scale, that's going to have to happen more and more automatically.
Or at least develop a system and process that's scalable for just average technicians that you have, or even office staff that you have. That is kind of the limiting factor there, right? We make these giant leaps and strides in technology, whether it's in the VRF sector or energy monitoring or remote monitoring like this. And then there's that learning curve, right? It's that we've got to play catch up to find out, one, how to implement it, how to interpret the data, but then also turn around and find out how do we even make this work over time, right? We can't clone ourselves. And maybe that is integrating AI a little bit, but I think a lot of that too is just coming down to the fact of understanding what it can do, and then building those checks and balance systems along the way to utilize most of the technology. And I think a lot of times too, this technology helps you strengthen that relationship with your clients too, because then you can go back and say, listen, before we were looking at everything all the time, or at least had the information to go back and look at it over time. Remember, you would have a failure every 6 months, whether it was like a room not cooling or a sensor that was bad or a compressor that failed. And now we've gone 2 years and you haven't had any failures, right? And it's not that you hadn't had to change components. It's just that you were aware of that they were going bad before they even realized it was going to throw an error code. And that's a lot of what this is. And not all buildings are critical, right? I would say an assisted living facility, maybe they think that it is, but maybe it isn't. It's not like a data center or like an ER. And so it's one of those things where, over time, it's going to develop more and more to where it kind of just stands on its own 2 feet, that everything has to have it in a way.
Yeah.
To really leverage the technology to get the lifespans that we've been promising from day one when VRF came to our market. Someone's got to be monitoring this stuff.
Yeah, but I will say we're not where we want to be in final, but it is pretty cool to have a technician in a different city tell a customer that they have a problem before they even knew that they had a problem.
Yeah.
And oh, by the way, we've already got you scheduled because your building's still under warranty. So even though it is a little bit more manual than maybe it will ultimately be, it's already having a huge impact on how we do our business. So both in terms of being able to do, preventative maintenance reports where we'll kind of pre-diagnose issues in the building. So before a technician shows up, they're not just there to kind of look at the equipment and feel the aura and figure out what's wrong. They're actually there because we've already reviewed a month's worth of data using CoolAutomation, where even the best technician with just a service checker would never be able to do that sort of analysis.
No.
Because all they can see is what they're looking at right now.
It looks great today, but it's also 65 degrees outside, and only half the building is calling for any kind of cooling or heating at the time. So,
well, and not only that, if service checker has an SD card, you can record years of data if you really wanted to on it.
Yeah.
But there's still, you're going to send a guy out into a field who's going to pull it. And he's going to drive back to the office. He's going to turn it into the service manager, the account manager, and he's going to upload it to a program. And they're going to look. That's days.
Yeah.
With remote and with the ability to preemptively look at service calls and preemptively look at your maintenance trips to basically get all your ducks in a row. And now we're going to actually spend time, which is rolling the truck out to the job site to look at it.
Yep.
We're so much better prepared. And the customers end up spending less money. Now, I don't know how you would ever convince them of that, but there is practically the customers are spending less money to maintain their equipment because we've lowered the amount of time that it takes us to maintain their equipment, right? Time is our biggest expenditure in really any business. We charge a pretty stiff hourly rate, but if we, 1 or 2 hours on every call is a lot of money to the customers, and it's better for us as a company too, just practically to go out better prepared. We want to be the experts, but if we have knowledge and we have all this data and we can actually be the experts on that specific problem, on that specific piece of equipment when we show up.
Yeah. And it's another way that it's really been a value in that regard is, we're running service trucks. If you look at a map and you see how much space is between Houston, Austin, San Antonio, Dallas, and Fort Worth, that we're rolling trucks literally all over the state. And everywhere from a guy who's been doing this for 15 plus years to a guy who's six to 12 months in.
Yeah.
And if we can support all of our technicians out in the field with supervisors who can effectively digitally be on every single job site that we have sold, it's huge.
It is.
Because as if he gets stuck, he's like, well, did you check this? Or did you check this? Or hold on, let me look, try to run it again. Let me look at the same thing you're looking at.
Yep.
And that's been super valuable for us, both to try to get to the right answer, but for our management to be able to do some quality control. Because they can actually see the same things that the techs, and they don't have to, they'll see something that they didn't think to ask about, but it jumped off the page to them, but it didn't jump off the page to somebody that doesn't have the the same level of experience.
No, and to that point, I've been doing something similar, but I've been doing it the archaic way. And so, obviously every technician has a laptop and a service checker. And so we have a program that allows me to remote into their laptops and look at stuff. But from that perspective, it's kind of really archaic for the way I've been doing it, because then I only have access to the data that they're looking at right now. I only have access to the system that they're hooked up to right now. I have no previous data on that or any experience with the previous, what did it do yesterday? What did it do last week? What did it do before through the error code? I don't have any information, but just having access to their laptops and being able to support them remote, we've been able to reduce our callbacks down to it's like 0.5% right now of callbacks. And that's just because someone with experience has the ability to remote in. And so you dial that up to 100 with CoolAutomation, and now it's not just that system, it's the entire building. And it's not just that building, it's everything that, since it's been plugged in and hooked up, that it's been recording that information. So I go back months and months and months, and I can say, hey, we can see where this sensor started to drift away. We can see where these compressors do get hot during oil return mode. We can see where they weren't changing the filters on half the building for 6 months. All that information is there if you just know where to look.
And being able to hold a technician's hand makes them a better technician.
Yeah.
Eventually, that guy that has to ask for help on every call now will only ask every other day, and eventually he doesn't ask at all.
Yeah, on the difficult stuff. Yeah. No, it's good.
It's a good guide process. Yeah, absolutely. So really appreciate you guys spending some time with us and answering some questions. And
we're excited to have you guys on.
Absolutely.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate it. It's great.
All right. We'll talk to you guys later. Thanks.